Hey, hi all. Everybody doing good, I think, and we are coming up with one more video. And in this video, we're going to talk about a project, a basic project, which is Java full stack development. And here we will be giving some more exposure towards the development, and we'll be talking about how we actually communicate with the backend to front end and front end to backend, and with the using databases and everything. And it is not to be said the advanced one, but it is very basic one. And here we are going to talk about student management system, and I'll just keep the things very straight over here. And I hope you will like it, and I hope this will be a more learning for you. So without any further ado, let me just go ahead and share my screen with you, that what exactly the development is going to happen and everything out. All right, and let's get started. Hope my screen is visible. And here in this case, okay, so what I'm going to do is something which is really talkative here. So thing is, thing is, uh, as I said, this is going to be Java full stack development. So into this, we generally talk about two terms. One is backend and one is frontend. Right? So if I make a proper communication between backend to frontend, so that actually stands on full stack development. And that's it. Okay. So if a backend development, frontend development, and both are getting communicated, and that terminology is called full stack development. So why am I saying Java? That means in the backend, I'm using the Java programming language. That's why it is a Java full stack. And in this place, if you are using the Python, if you're using the C Sharp, if you're using C++, that depends on that, like what programming language you are using, and that full stack it will come. If you use a Python, it becomes a Python full stack. If it becomes a C hash, that it becomes C hash full stack development, like that. But without making any things over here, little talking, let to be very straight talking about the Java, right? So here the thing is that when I talk about the backend development, and here I'll be using the framework which is very famous, and that is called as like Spring Boot. All right. So within a Spring Boot, we try to see that is how to create the project, and how actually we utilize this particular project, making it available for the backend development, and that will be connected to the front end as well. All right. So in order to do this, we should have a little knowledge about Java programming. At least we should have a knowledge of Java methods, Java methods, and we should have a basic ideology about object-oriented programming system. So if you talk about like in object-oriented programming, that what are the things that are needed? At least we need to know about the abstraction, and we should know about inheritance. All right, inheritance. Okay, so if we are understand these two, like we are ready able to do a basic backend development, and yet again, so we just try to uh, do the development as it is certainly needed. And as usual, coming back to the front end as of now. So in the front end, of course, it should be a part of HTML, and it should be part of CSS, and it should be part of JavaScript, and this is going to be a web programming language. And using these three, we can use one more framework. And currently, it is React. So here, the entire project is going to be Java, Java, React, Java, React, full stack development. That's what we can say at this moment of time. All right. So without any further ado, let's get started for this particular. And within this, if you ask me like what are the applications that I'm going to use, and I'm going to use that is four different applications here. Okay, four different applications here. Like something had happened. I'm so sorry. It's happening something. Okay. So let me just take it. Oh my God, it's going something else. All right. Anyway, I can write it here itself. Like if it is really not concerning, then I'll be using, there is an application called Eclipse, and there is an application called VS Code, obviously. And there is an application which is used to create a database that is nothing but MySQL and all these things. All right. So whenever there is a backend development, front end development, and database connectivity, so we will be checking the API endpoint testing. That means API endpoint, and that is through the Postman. That is through the Postman. So these things will be taken care. This will be proceeding further, and we will just try to do the further things a lot. All right. So let's just get it. All right. So my PC is going down. That's okay. I'll just manage to have the charger as well. All right. So now here, as I mentioned, that we just need Java programming, and we just need the object-oriented thing. And we need the knowledge about the HTML, we need the knowledge about the CSS, we need the knowledge about the JavaScript, and we should also have knowledge about React. And then basic information is needed. Just the basic information is needed, not anything apart from this. All right. So let's just get it started, and it's like make it as like very, very simple thing, and let's just make it a proper way out. All right. So once again, I'll welcome to my class today. So we'll be much talking about the front-end development and everything. All right. So when it is come back to do the back-end development, all right, that means we're going to do the back-end development at the first, and when we're talking about the back-end development, we'll be talking about the Spring Boot. And here we need to understand that Spring Boot is one of the framework which especially made and designed for running an application as a Spring Boot application. All right, and it is not going to be the normal programming that what we do in Eclipse, and we should follow a proper guidelines, and we should follow the something other steps in order to get this application done. Okay, so when I'm saying it is like the other steps are needed, that doesn't mean that it is something out of the box. It's very, very simple and very, very easy points and easy steps we need to follow. And here, to create an application, we will get into the place which is called as, that is spring.start.io, or it may be something different. Okay, so I may be correct or maybe not correct here, but that's okay. We'll just try to see when we go to the browser, right? So browser itself give you the ideology that what we are actually going to do it at this moment of time. So I sure that, okay, so it should be proper enough. Okay, it should be proper enough. All right, so but anyways, it is working now. Fine. Now here we will do the first thing, that is we'll create a Spring Boot application first. Spring Boot app or Spring Boot application first. All right. So application is nothing but it is a project to be set. Right. And the second is we'll see that how to import it into Eclipse, and we'll create different packages. And here is the catch. Okay, so what is the different packages and why it is certainly needed? Okay, so when I talk about the Spring Boot, here we need to understand few things. Okay, so Spring Boot works on a particular architecture, which we generally call it as like model, repository, and very important, that is service, and very, very important, that is called controller. And everything is interconnected. Model will be connected to repository connected to the service connected to the controller. Okay, and here the bi-directional conversation which will happen, controller to the service to the repository, and repository to the model. So it will run on like our MVP model, or it is like MRSC model, like whatever you can call it as, like MRS, or it is like MRESC, up to your understanding. Okay, up to your understanding. Okay, so I'm just keeping this class as like very, very minimal to understand with everybody over here. So that's why you can call it any way out. If you have if you are getting the proper knowledge about that, what you are exactly doing at the end of the day, it's okay, like what name that you're going to call. All right. So you can just understand this much is like it is a process of, or it is a model, or it is a service of, or it is a working model of, like, okay, so the model, repository, service, and controller. So all these things are interconnected, and using these things, we actually can build a Spring Boot application altogether. All right. So in the different packages, we'll create a model package as usual, and we will create the repository package, and we will create the service package, and we will create the controller package. Okay, so here model will have a model class, repository will have a repository class, service will have a service class, and the controller will have a controller class. So if altogether, if I just talk about how it's going to happen and how it is going to work and everything. Okay, so in the model we will create the data first. The database is any information, all right, and these information will be stored in the repository. Okay, so whatever the stored information, right, we will write the business logic. All right, so we'll write the business logic. That means how should it will work, and whatever the business logic is written or typed or developed, that will be seen in the browser, and that will be with the RESTful. That means RESTful, or we can say that is REST API to be said. REST is a representation. That means, we can represent it in a in a general form. Okay, if you ask me, like, in a general, very very general information is that whatever the business logic that you have written, and that will be seen on the browser. Okay, so if anything you wanted to see on the browser, okay, so you can just put the information to the controller. And whatever business logics that we see into it is like, very very informative over here. And we will talk about these things which we call it as like, there is something called get, there is something called post, and there is something called put, and at final it is something called delete. So what are all these things and how it is going to work, you will get to see just going forward. But in general terminology, these things are also called as like create, read, update, and delete. And in the short form, the abbreviations of this particular is called as like CRUD. That's called CRUD operation. Okay, CRUD operation. Nowadays, you can see any of the website. Okay, just for example, just for example, if you see any of the website, any e-commerce website, all right. So nowadays, like, if I take some things like e-commerce as like Flipkart, or we have Amazon, okay, or we have Blinkit, like Blinkit. So this type of things. Okay, so just for an example name, just for the names, I'm just using it. So whenever there is a Flipkart, it comes in. Okay, for example, if you go and search like a mobile, okay, so you are searching like a mobile, all right. So the mobile will display. Right. So that's okay. It is coming on the UI. But here the question is, when you search as a mobile, so this mobile should be understood by someone. It should be understood by the someone, because at the end person, you are sitting in front of the computer, and you are sitting in front of the computer, you are trying to showcase some information. All right. So the moment when you are searching some information, right, it's appearing. But when you're trying to see some information on the browser, right, or in your search, trying to see some information on your computer, right, so there should be an information should go to the computer, and this person is searching for a mobile, and the mobile information should come on the screen. And that's what exactly we say it is a backend development. And here, when the mobiles are appearing on the screen, that means there will be somebody there will be somebody who had added it. All right. So this added it. Fine. All right. So if it is not okay, if it is added, then it should come on the screen. It should come on the screen. Okay, come on the screen. If it is come on the screen, make sure that it is a proper information which is provided on the screen, that what you are looking for mobile, that should come on the screen just like that. And if anything information that it's supposed to be needed at the time, it's supposed to be updated. If any information is incorrect, or if it is not becoming proper, that means it should be corrected. That means update. And if that information is not needed, it is been outdated, it should be deleted from the search. So these informations are certainly actually done with into these websites. Okay, so hope you have understood now that how actually it's coming the mobile information on the screen, because there has already been a development done, and that development is nothing but a backend development. So that means the backend developer engineer, all right, so who will be designing a website or design, sorry, it's not a designing a website, I'm so sorry, he's like doing the business logic or doing the backend development where this application should coming on the screen. All right. So that's if it is done, then only it will appears on the screen. Otherwise, it doesn't. So that's how it is. So uh, things which are supposed to be done, all right? So done on the screen. So it should come on that particular. We need to feed information first, and then only it will work. Otherwise, it doesn't like that. So not only these things, sir. Whoever have a e-commerce website currently, all right, e-commerce website. Okay, so it's a total what's a complete information. Okay, complete information that what complete information about the CRUD operation. All right, about the CRUD operation they'll carry. Or if you go to any general website, if you go to any general website, or like any of the government websites or non-government websites, like that. So they might not have these, all the CRUD information. The end user will not do anything or much research on that. But if even if you have a general website also, no, it will consider of CRUD information itself. So if any user who is doing the development of a CRUD information, when CRUD development, that engineer is called as like backend engineer. Anybody who can be a backend engineer. All right. So to be said is that any browser carrying any information within the website, that means there is somebody who added the information, which is when information is added, that is ready for a reading purpose. If it is ready for a reading purpose, after some time it can be updated or sometime it can be deleted. That can be said. And this CRUD is generally said it in terms of RESTful terminology. It is said to be get, post, put, and delete. All right, so we generally use these mappings instead of doing these mappings. Anyways, you'll get to understand that is how it is going to work and everything, and when we start it in particular. So without any further ado, guys, so let me just try to take you to the direct architecture of the Spring Boot. All right, so for the Spring Boot, we need to create very, very important, that is Maven project. So Maven project is something which will be consisting the architecture of, which will be architecturing of model, and which will have repository, and which will have business service, and it is one final very important, that is controller. So these four informations are provided into Maven project, and using this, we will get this thing done. And here is very, very important is that, okay, so every architecture, what it is mentioned here, model, repository, service, controller, will have sort of configuration, and those configurations are called as like dependencies. All right. So these dependencies are somebody who can, or what I can say in a general thing is that these are all the supporting things where which support the project to run seamlessly. All right. The very first one that we will use, there is something called web dependencies, there where my Maven project is going to behave like a web application, and which is going to run on a local server. Okay. So that local server is generally says that as like in a local host. It says localhost, and this particular project will run on a local server, which is generally we call it as like Apache Tomcat, Apache Tomcat, and this will run on the port which is called 8080. All right. So in order to take this entire project to the local host, and it should run on this port, we should use web dependencies. And second is every other thing need to be stored in the repository, and for this we will use, that is MySQL driver. And why am I using MySQL driver? As I mentioned that I'm going to use MySQL as a database store. And the third one which we're going to use is there is something called as like JPA. and is a Jakarta persistence application, what we say, because we need to we need to use sort of annotations, like that is at the rate annotations. Once the application is started, right? We'll give an example. I'll give the proper exposure, that is how it is going to working and everything. And these main informations are sorry, these main dependencies are currently utilizing in order to run this Maven project and make it as like successful Spring Boot application. So here is like you might having a getting question. Okay, okay. So we are understanding these things, and I wanted to understand how to create it. So we have there is something called Starter IO. We have there is something called Spring Start IO. That is Spring Start Input Output. All right, start dot input output at the Spring dot IO, and it is a web console. It is a web console which is currently can be accessed using the web browser. So without any further wasting time, so just get into the browser over here, and here I'll take new tab. Anyways, come in and find TK update is something is coming. Okay, so my Zoom has sorry, my Edge has got updated. But anyways, without any further ado, so you can just say it here, that is Spring, right? Spring dot start, right? Spring dot start dot io. This is generally called as like Spring Initializer. All right, I hope it is connected, or else we can run it as like okay, Spring Initializer. All right, so maybe my miss, or maybe uh, website that I'm looking for, it might not be correct, so that's why it is giving in such way. But instead of doing that one, you can simply search it as like Spring Initializer and just get into there. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. It is not a Spring dot start io. It is a start dot Spring io. That's my miss. But anyways, this is a place where we generally try to get into, and this will give you the Maven Maven infrastructure or Maven project where we can create our basic things. Whereas like I'll be selecting it as like Maven. Okay, Gradle is also one of the project, what we say, but as of now I'm taking it as like Maven, and I'll be using the Java, and we have Kotlin, we have a Groovy. Okay, and currently the Spring Initializer is going to support only two application at this moment of time. Okay, for Java and all, we will have in a different way out to, sorry, for Python and all, we have a different way out, and we'll see to it. So I'll not make any further changes at this moment. I'll just keep it as like Maven and Java and 3.5.7 as like default. And here is very, very information that will to be very, very important information that what you need to look into. So here, these three things, okay, these three or four things is generally makes the difference. So let's show here, which generally makes the difference. Okay, so group is something I'm going to name my project. Okay, name my project, very, very important. And here we need to use very different perspectives to give the naming conventions. And artifact is one of the thing is that what exactly the project again. So there is a much thing to discuss about it. It's a very, very straightforward. It is nothing but naming convention. It is nothing but naming convention. And apart from that, there is nothing in particular. Because I don't want to make it as like so complicated things or complicated kind of English to use it for this technical things. All right, so very straightforward that we need to use it as particular. So it's nothing but it's a naming convention. All right, I'll just write it here. That is like com dot as usual. And I'll just use my training institute name, that is Tech Masters Trainings. All right, and dot. And we are using that is student management, or I'll just use it this much. I'll just give the first half of the package name. You could say that it is generally, refreshes here. It started refreshing the moment when I'm typing here. And let's just provide the proper project name here. I'll just take out demo and I'll say it as like, student management, all right, management system. And it is not mandate that you should use the capital letter in the middle. It is not mandate, but we will use it for the different nomenclature. I mean, making it as different way out. Like, people will find it easy to read it. All right. So when you find that long name, like if I say that is, management system, so it would be little hard. It would be little hard to read it in a proper way out. If I just make it as little differentiate out, like and keep it the first letter in capital, it will make the easy understanding or easy readable thing. So that's why we'll just make the of first letter of second word, and the third word we'll keep it as in capital. All right, first is also fine, no problem. But yeah, we could just make it as like for a normal reading purpose. And you can see that the entire package name is become like Comno Tech Master Student Management System. All right, so I'll just keep it as it is. It's look fine, and let it be packaging as like jar, and let it be as like properties. And currently I have a 21, and I'll use Java 21. And very importantly, so as I mentioned that we need a dependencies. Very very important, right? So we need a dependencies, and out of which here. So what dependencies we need to take it, sir? So we need to take web, and we need to take JPA. All right, we need to take JPA and we need to take MySQL driver. All right, very, very important. And along with, we'll use, there is something called DevTools and which will actually helps to make the proper Maven project or something like that. Okay, that's okay, not a problem. But just generally, the three dependencies is really, really important to get things done. All right, so let me hide it. Okay. All right. So now here, get into, okay, you just need to click here, add dependencies and come back here. And you could see all these four informations are giving at this moment of time, and you can just type it as it is common in. So the very first is like I'll create it as like web, and web is nothing but a Spring Web. And as I mentioned that it is going to work, make the things over the, make, take this project into the browser. And here we will use Apache Tomcat server as I just mentioned. All right. So like going forward, we have, there is something called MySQL driver. All right. MySQL driver, click that and click on dependencies. And here we use, that is JPA, that is Spring Data JPA, and which is going to help with connecting the Hibernate and all, right? So this is going to be a SQL driver thing. And this is a JDBC, that is Java is connecting to the database, right? Like that. And one further thing is like we can use, there is something called DevTools. And you can see it is just talking about some configurations like provides the fast application restarts, live read load and configuration for enhancing the development experience. That means whenever you make the changes into the development into any of the Java class, right? So at the moment you save that particular thing, that means automatically the application will reload for the rest of the case like that. And this is it. This is how the project is created, and I'll just click on generate, and this will take a fractions of seconds, get the application done. And you can see 16.6 KB, and you can see that currently the application is started, sir. All right, so now here what I do is I'll go to the particular place where the folder, the folder where the file is downloaded. And what I do is I'll just right click on that. And if you wanted to export it here, if you wanted to extract it here, or you wanted to just copy this particular project and place it to the suitable location where you wanted it, and then you can get the things further developed and everything. Because if you export it from in here, whatever the application, whatever the project that you do, everything stores here in the general download things. So for this reason, I'll just take a copy of this, right? Or I'll just, we can move it directly at this point of time. I just tried the copy itself, not a problem. And what I do is from my C drive to, I'll go to the D drive, and within which uh, I create one folder. All right. And in this folder, we'll say that is backend project. We'll say that is backend project. And within this, I'll just open this application, and within this, I'll just place it. And within this, I'll just right click, and let's say that is extract all. You can say extract all, and obviously you just proceed with the straightforward steps, and which will be extracted. And you can see it is extracted to the backend project, and there is a system. So there is a student management system. So what we need to do is we simply come back to the Eclipse, and we get into the file, and here is the place where we need to, that is import. Once you import it, and we need to find, that is Maven, because the project is Maven. Click on a Maven and click on existing Maven projects. Go to the next. And here we need to browse it. And currently it is under the root directory of workspace. So it had to be changed to the place where I have already extracted Fine. You can see it is already going to home and it is trying to do something extra here, but this is not a right place. And you all know that, okay, so it has been instructed into my D drive. So open the D drive and get into the backend. So just scroll up. Okay, here is a backend project, open it, and we have a student management. And please select that folder, and it had been changes to that particular, and it will understand if there is any form.xml file. And that's where all the configurations are going to happen. And here you go. So please select this, very important. Okay, select this, but it has a problem. It says that project student management system. Okay, so it is just exists over here. I'm so sorry. So as of now, let me just cancel this, and I think it is a empty project. It doesn't have anything. That's okay, fine. Okay. So what I do is I just delete this off. It is not needed at this moment of time. Okay, so I just delete it and delete it from the entire place and say it is okay. Because why it is not given an option is that Java is purely strictly follows no duplicates allowed as a project. Okay, so I'll click on import as usual. I'll just follow the same process. Existing Maven project, browse and go to the proper place, that is this PC, D drive and backend project, open it and select the folder and please click that, and you can see it is selected, fine, everything is done, and then click on a finish, and I could say at the bottom it is trying to import all the projects, and it takes bit time over here, and we need to wait until it go 100%. And if you check it the left hand side, okay, so currently the source folder is trying to map all the projects folders which are certainly needed for this. You can, some point of time this infrastructure will change. So once it is coming, right, so we strictly go ahead and create few files and have our development done. And if you see that is still it is a 9%, still it is a 9%. So it should go 100%. We can see that. Okay, we can see that it is need to wait. It's taking some more time, I think. Okay, so at 76%, it takes a bit time. We need to wait. Okay, so the entire project system is actually got the change out of it, and certain things are going forward. So we'll try to see that is entire thing which is coming into picture, sir. All right. I'm not trying to maximize, I'm just minimizing that, but that's okay. I'll take it. So just trying to allocate because I need a pen over here to show some information to you. So sorry for disturbance in the middle. Mhm. Okay. All right, there you go. The project is ready at this moment of a time, and we will be able to continue forward. All right, so now here is that. Okay, so we just need to see few things. Right, we just need to see few things. That is okay. Clear that. All right. So first thing first. Here's the thing that we need to apply few things. All right. So the very first is like this is the Java class where we do our development, where we do our development. And this is the resource. Okay, so I'll just expand it for your better understanding and things too. And let me just remove this towards right. Yeah, there you go. So if I just expand this, right, and expand these two, here is something which we need to see is that, okay, and if I expand this also, so that's the first project file, which is actually making my file to run as a Spring Boot application. And let's see that if I just double click and open this application, okay, and there you are. So here is very important thing, and that's what I just tried to mention is that, okay, so this is something, sir, okay, so which is going to make our application as like @ Spring Boot application. So this is generally called as like annotation, right? So these annotations are predefined for this. There is a development is being done. All right. So at this moment, okay, so let's just see that how it is works and everything, and try to understand that uh, what are the things that is being used in which to project run. All right. So all this simple stuff, or all this technical stuff, I'll do it once again. The one more video to talk about it. But as of now, please take it as like annotation which annotates that particular method, right? So it annotates that the particular method how it to be fair, a particular method which, okay, a particular method, okay, a particular method behaves, or a particular method behavior, you can say, not behaves. Yeah, you can say behavior. That means how this particular method is being, behaving, okay, what it is going to do. And one more thing is that these annotations will be from the class level. We'll give that is a class level. So within the class, there should be a proper method is taken. And this is the main method, which is already, we all know that it is a main method. So main method is something which gives an execution, and that's where the execution starts. And that's where the entire application will go to the output. That's where we see it, right? On the console. All right. But here we're trying to say that this entire method, that entire method should work like a Spring application, and should that is run is an inbuilt method, and it is going to run what? It is going to run the student management system application. So entire class, this entire class, student management, this entire class, okay, with the proper, arguments and everything, it's going to run this entire method as a Spring Boot application. And that's what the annotation is talking about. So what I'm trying to say is that annotation is something, all right, annotation is something which trying to tell this method how it's going to behave, how it is going to behave, or how it is going to work. That's what it is trying to tell. All right, so this is a beauty. All right, so within any class, if you are using the annotation, that means @ the rate is nothing but it is an annotate. We are trying to annotating that the method, how it should work, all right, and what it should resemble, and what type of instruction it should follow, and of everything. So as of now, if you just generally understand, as I said already, the entire Spring Boot application, it is coming from this class, and it is going to run as an Spring application. That's how it is. So if I just generally said, and as usual, like it's generally right click on any empty area and say it as like run as application. If I click on that, right, so it should create a proper suitable things and gather all the configuration which is currently needed in, and then it can just run that as an application. And currently it is just trying to find the all configuration as it is said. All right, and you could see this, okay, and this is the beauty. All right, so as of now, it might give you the error, or as of now, okay, of course, because we have taken that is MySQL driver and the database that it is not configured at this moment of time. So that's what is giving an error, but that's okay. But I'm not trying to tell these things, but I'm trying to tell this one. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to tell about this. And that is Spring. So that means whatever the class that we are taken, so it's going to completely work as a Spring. Okay, so it is not a general programming what we generally used to see the console. All right, so it is coming to the console. It is coming as a Spring Boot application itself. And coming here, all right. So as I mentioned previously, we need to create a model, we need to create a repository, we need to create a service, we need to create a controller. So without any further ado, let's get it started. So how do we do it? Okay, how would we do it? If you ask me, okay, so if you ask me like, okay, so what we do is All right. So what I do is I'll create a separate package for everything. All right. I'll create a separate package for every single class that I have, every single class that I have created. All right. So I'll create a separate package for every class. And for the model, I'll create a model package, and repository, I'll create a repository, and for the service, I'll create a service, and controller, we'll create a controller packages for us. All right, so just take a look, and I hope you guys have already have an idea how to do it. Okay, so what we do is I'll simply right click on the main one, go to the new, and click on a package, and here in the package, I'll just keep it that as okay, so com.techmasters and students and everything. So under this particular one, I'll create a model. Click OK. So the project is ready. Sorry, the package is ready, and I'll right click on that new, and I'll create a class, and which is going to be student model. And here is a beauty is that every year we would be practicing that taking this main function every time when we create a class in a general programming, but here in the development we won't be using this main function at all. So we directly say this simply finish, and that's where the class is created, and this is where the model is created. And once again and we try to get the things like this going forward. Like what we do is I'll just right click on this on a package and going to the new package once again, and I'll not create a model this time, and it is like dot, and we'll just take it as like repository. All right, hit enter. The package is ready. I'll just right click on that and go to the new and create a class, and this is going to be a student repository. All right, it's okay uh, if you are not using a capital letter for the repository, or you want to use it, let's use it, not a problem. So without a main function, we'll create it. Okay, so repository is one of the class here. And to be precise here, guys, okay, so it's to be better if we create it as a uh, interface instead of creating class. All right, because it is going to implement on the model class which we're going to create. All right, so instead of creating a class, we'll directly create an interface. I have just deleted the previous class which is created it, and we'll say this is like student repository. Student repository, click finish, an interface is created, and once again I'll come back to the main method, sorry, main package, and I'll right click on that and click on a package, and this time instead of using that is model and service, we will say okay, yeah, it is this instead of repository, we'll use this time as a service. All right, so hit enter. The service package is ready. Right click on that and go to the class and make sure it is of providing a proper information as a naming. All right, student, we'll say that is service, student service. And without a main method, click finish. There you go. And once again, we have one last class to be created under the package. That is nothing but, okay, that is nothing but controller. We'll say it as like control and click finish, and that's it. In the controller, I'll right click on that, go to the new and click on a class. And here we'll say that is student and control. So these are all the specific classes and the packages are currently needed in order to do any Spring application. All right, and to be said it here, guys, okay, I'm so sorry that it is generally become a duplicate over here, I think. Okay, it should not be duplicate like this, but there is something, the problem which is going to happen here. So I have, created copies. I think it should not be like this because it make a big problem. So it should not get into that. But then let's try to let's try to see that. Okay, so how it's going to work. But then I could see some applications which are classes which are created here. That is 4 classes. That's fine. Okay. So let me just things which are certainly needed and see that. All right. So Okay. I think they got duplicate. Let me just try to delete it. Is it going to delete from the bottom end? Okay. So you could see, all right, system has a student one. Okay. So student management system, that is the main application, student application, repository application, service application. Okay. So we need a controller as well. So this time I'll just say, I'll just use the main source file, click on that and click on a package. And in the package, anyways, it is not coming entirely. So what I do is I'll just right click on that and I'll go to the new and I'll create a package and here dot controller. Click OK. And within the controller, sir, we'll create one more class, which is a controller class. So we'll say that is student. Okay. Student controller. And with the main function, you create a okay. So the control class is here. I think this is supposed to be in the main class, I think. So just try to move it to the main Java and say it is okay. So if it is saying a copy, that's not fine, no problem. And what I do is like I'll delete this off because it should be a part of source folder. It should not be part of the main class. All right, yeah, there you go. So service as a service, repository as a repository, student as a student, controller as a controller, and main class as a main class. And without any further ado, I'll get back to the student, and this time I'll be utilizing the few basic and straightforward things. That means a student information. All right, student information. So yet here, the student information is going to be the student ID. It's going to be the student name, and it's going to be the student email address. Okay, and it's going to be the student SAM, and it's going to be student course. All right, so that means I'm going to be utilizing the 5 different information over here, and we'll be creating a Pojo class. Okay, so Pojo is nothing but that is plain old Java object, which we generally call it as like Pojo class. Right, so please understand the things as like same as it is, and in supported to this project, I'll be doing some more technical stuffs or some videos going forward. So you will just fill in the blanks whenever it is, wherever and it is needed. So edit here where the class level, we will create the variables which are currently going, I mean, which are currently of ID, currently of name, currently of email, and some and course. Okay, so I'll use the private specimen, that is private modifiers, like private, and ID is like, let it be as like long ID, and for the naming purpose, we'll use string and the name as a name, and will private email is going to be string, and SEM is going to be string, and course is also going to be string course. Okay, so these are all the 5 different data members which are going to store as a data, so which we generally utilize it as like data members. All right, so now here, once the data member is done, sir, and we need a constructor to initialize the objects. Right, so because constructor is a special method which is certainly used to initialize the object. All right, so initialize the object. Okay, so constructor n is missing. Fine, okay, that's fine. Like initialize. I think I just missed somewhere here, so change it to initialize. Fine, set object. So how to create a constructor here? So for your better understanding, so I'll just directly take you to the shorthand property that where it is going to. All right, so you can just get into the source over here and click on this constructor using fields, and then make sure that everything is selected over here. Okay, and here is also it's matter that if you any of the information is not needed, you can just select only which are needed. Anyways, I'll select everything and click on generate, and that's where the constructor is started. Okay, so it should come here, but it's just going there. That's not a problem. So I'll just cut this off and I'll just put it under the constructor for the better understanding that what we are doing in. Okay, and this constructor is something is called parameterized, right? Parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. And we should have default constructor as well. default constructor as well. And for the default constructor, we should have just take the same class name and everything. But for easiest purpose, like we'll go to this constructor using fields, and this time I'll deselect everything and just generate. I just want only the default constructor. Okay, so there you go. The default constructor is currently coming here. I'll just cut this off and I'll just put it under the default constructor thing. And after that, we need getter setters. We need getters and setters, very, very important. So here I'll just go to the source and click on getters and setters. And this time I'll select everything, click on generate. And these are all my getter setters. So I just use this naming convention just before this thing. So these getter setters are the part of encapsulation, which is utilized for uh, setting information and at the same time utilizing the method as a get method. All right, so these are all the methods, right? So I'm just removing the extra space from these methods, which is generally created by the source things and everything. All right, so I'm just taking this as empty spaces. All right, I think one last, make sure that the properly visible at this moment of time. And there you go. And this is my main class power close. Right. I mean the floor close. Fine. Okay. So this is what my class is going to be, and I'll just take off the extra stuff, extra empty information because it's going to be my proper coding at this moment of time. All right. So this is what my user class is going to create, and this information should go as like a table. All right. So for that reason, we'll say this is like entity annotation. An entity annotation is something which helps to store this information as a data. All right, so I'll just place a mouse cursor on this, and this has to be imported from the JPA. Okay, since I have already used the JPA dependencies, so from that JPA it should be imported. So it is taking a bit time. So just click on this X mark, and this should say that is import entity from Jakarta persistent. Just click on that, and it is imported. And right after that, every information that we store into the data table, you should have a primary key. And this time I'll be utilizing the ID as a primary key because ID may be different. ID definitely different, not maybe, because we will have a maybe the same name of the students, but we wouldn't be having the same identity of the student. So that's the reason we should make a primary identity for every other student. So that's the reason I'll just use the annotation for the ID, making that information as a primary key for the table. All right, so ID and at the rate, we will use it as like, so this ID is supposed to be generated automatically. So that's the reason we'll give an annotation, that is, this should be something like generated value, and which should have a, okay, so matter of a value of, that is, we say that is strategy is equal to, that is, this information should be generated. All right, so the generated value which should have a generation type. What type of it is, that it should be identified itself. That means it is automatically identifies that what it is. All right, so place a mouse cursor on that. So we should be importing from the Jakarta once again. So I place a mouse cursor once again, and we'll be importing from the Jakarta itself. And this is enough, sir. This is enough. So in order to make that things, and this is enough where we can create the particular table under the database. All right. So this is an entity. Please understand that a entity is a table within database. All right. So that means we need to create a database. All right. So we'll be creating the database in a little moment. And here it is showing an error. The strategy is supposed to be small letter, but not the capital. And I'll just save this information. The student model is ready. And from this model, where I supposed to take it, sir? I supposed to take it to the next level. So that means, please understand that what are we going to do? We are going to do the model, and we are going to do the repository layer. All right, repository model layer, repository to the service layer, and service layer to the controller layer. So these informations we are going to utilize it. So as of now, the model layer is completed. So we will be taking this model to the repository and to store these information into the database. All right, and this database supposed to be JPA, that is Jakarta Persistence Repository, should come in here. So that only where my Hibernate comes into picture, where every information where every information will be stored in terms of object mapping. All right, so object relational mapping, what we call about the Hibernate. So I'll talk about more, okay, in my other videos where we discuss about the MySQL. All right, so I request you can go there and just get the things done. Anyways, so so just keep it the things as usual. That is, we had created the model. From the model, we'll get into the repository. That means storing the informations. All right, and from the repository, we'll go to the business logic, that is to the service, and from the service, we'll go to the controller. And controller is a person who actually connects with the model and connects with the service and take the information on the browser. And it is a two-way communication from the controller to the service, service to the repository, repository to the model. It is a communication, the two-way communication. All right. So every other thing, and you can see model is getting connected to the repository, repository is getting connected to the service, and service is connected to the controller. Same time, controller is getting connected to the service, service is getting connected to the repository, repository is connected to the model. And this is like two-way communication, what we say it. And prolongly, we'll do the development, and this development is generally called it as like backend development. Okay, hope you have got the point of topic. Anyways, going forward, I'll get into the student repository. Anyways, it is an interface. And of course, we all know that the interface is actually get the things as implemented. All right. So I'm just using it as like a repository, and please that is at the rate. We'll say it as like repository. All right. So annotation is nothing but which trying to tell that like how that particular class of method should behave. That's what I said. All right. So please click on that and just place a mouse cursor. Not click, just place a mouse cursor. So it will give an information to import it as a repository. And this interface is going to extend its priority to the JPA repository. Okay, JPA repository. And this is a very general thing that we keep directly. And here in the it is trying to store the information in the repository. And what are the okay? So this model information, right? So this model information should come and store it here, and that's why I said. So here it should have some unique identity. Okay, unique identity to make proper communication. Okay, proper communication, what it's supposed to be stored and how it's supposed to be stored. So for that reason, we should give the identification. The proper identification is that. Okay, so proper identification is that the repository. I'll once again write this. All right. So I keep on writing it what it is going to be, but okay, don't panic since I'm just erasing off. All right, so going here is that, okay? So here we need to give an identification, and that has to be done with the Angular brackets. And within this, we'll give the information where it's supposed to come. It's supposed to come the student model, which we have just created, and within which we need to give a primary key information, what key is actually being created, and we need to give not the address, but we need to give the data which is storing it. That is in terms of long. So this is how it will work. So I'll just place a mouse cursor on the student, and this has to complete it. Okay. So place a mouse cursor first, just get this import to be done. And please place a mouse cursor on the student, and you can see it should be imported from the our own model, which is student management one particular thing. So, and this is enough. This is enough, and that's it. It's a very straightforward thing, and we don't need to worry about on the same. And come back to, okay, so before proceeding further, please save it and come back to the service here. And this is where the complete logic is going to be written. And this is a point of, said it is like business logic, business logic, very, very important. And this is where we try to do CRUD operations. We try to do the CRUD operation. Very, very important. And this will go like a service, right? It will go like a service. That means it provides a service getting connected every logic to the controller and from the model. And this time, just click on this particular service to be imported from the stereotype. We just did it, sir. That's fine. And very forward, sir. Very, very, very forward. Very important thing. And as I already just mentioned, very simple thing, right? So what we have did, sir. So from the model, we supposed to get into repository. Okay, repository. And from the repository, where we need supposed to go, we're supposed to go to the service. All right. So now here, model created, and model is called in the repository with the student class reference and with the primary key reference, right? So that means this model information is currently stored in the repository, and all this repository should go to the service now. So for that reason, again, we should give a unique identity. Okay, in order to do the unique identity, and here we will use very a simple thing. All right, simple thing. So that means I need to connect this repository to the service, and at this moment of here, and I just try to give an annotation and try to tell that there is a particular class and which is going to be utilized. All right, so we need to talk about it, that uh, make it as like, okay, so it is a private class. All right, so P should be small class. Okay, so the small cap, a small letter. So private, and where it is coming from? Where it is coming from? It is coming from a student repository, right? So I'll just take this, I'll just take a copy of this, and I'll just come back to my service layer. And within a service layer, I'll just utilize this. Okay, so this is a class reference, this entirely, all right? So this entirely is called a class reference. But you all know that Java is class and object based. Okay, Java is a class and object based programming language, right? So that means we cannot directly access the class, but through the object I can create the class. And this is student repository is an interface, and it is actually considered to be a class itself, but directly we cannot access the value to this. But what we need to do, we need to create an object for this. And this time I'll create, there is something, the topic called wrapper object. It is something called wrapper object. All right. So this information is again still available in my other videos. You can just watch those, and that will be helpful if you are already watched. All right. So now coming back here. All right. So try to create a wrapper class for this, and this time I'll not make any proper sorry, I'll not make any the confusion over here. I'll just keep it as it is student repository, as in student repository. Simple. Okay, small letter word. All right, small letter word, and this has to be coming from the repository, right? So I need to have a connection done between the service and the student repository. For that reason, so Java provides a very beautiful annotation, and that is something called auto wired. Okay, so the word itself it says that, right? So just place a mouse cursor on this and just click on this X mark. Otherwise, click on import, double click, and place a mouse cursor on this red indication and import it from the import student repository. All right, click on that. Automatically, the student repository. All right, so student repository is supposed to be coming from the student repository itself, right? So there you go. So once you auto wired it, and here where we'll try to do our logic, and that logics are certainly is like thread operations. All right. So the very first is like we need to get the information first. All right. So get all the student information if they're already present. Okay, if they're already present, get all the student information. So for this, as I said, everything is going to be method implementation. I'm going to be creating a method. So method is generally starts with access specifier that is public. And within this, I would like to take a method name that is get all students. There you go. That's all students, open bracket, close bracket, open flowers. And since the method should have a return type, right? So as of now, I've just taken a modifier and I have taken the method name over here, but the method name should also have a return type as well. And when we say that is get the student information, that means it should give me in terms of either the every information, right? It should give the ID, it should give the name, it should give the email address, it should give the semester, and should give the course information as well. So it should return something. So for that reason, I would like to return this information in terms of list. And list, it should have a confirmation that where it should come, all where all these informations are present. These information are present in student, right? So that's the reason I'll give the student reference for this list. All right. So here, the list is something the returnable thing. Okay, returnable thing. And once after this, it should be, once after this, that need to get that information, right? So I'll say that is in the return over here. All right, return over here. And how to return it, where it is stored? It is stored in the student repository. So I'll not use a class reference, but I'll use the object reference, because you need to call any class in Java, we need to create an object, and through the object itself, we'll communicate with the class itself. So I'll say that is student repository and dot, and here we'll say that is find all. Okay, find all is a inbuilt method where it provides all the information which is present. And we can say that is find all, you can say that it's like returns all instances of a type. And especially it is like, list CRUD repository. All right. So that's how it is. So please use the find all here. And now, even though that return, list is not a part of any repository over here. So that's any package over here. So it is from a Java util package. Import that one, and student is from the model class. Import that one as well. And this is how we'll try to get all the information on the screen of the students, guys. And going forward, once we get all the information, and I want it to be very, very specific. I want it to be a specific. That specific is something that like I wanted to see a single student information. Right, single student information. So within this, just I want one person, I want one student information. So that means, this here, okay, so we need to specify that what would be the unique identity again, specify the unique identity where I can understand that information. And unique identities must not be the names. Remember that. Okay, name is not, because there might be duplicate names, but with the ID information, it is right. It is good. It is good to use. So for that reason, I'll say once again, I'll create a method. Okay, fine, and then get a single student, right? So I'll say that is get student. All right, get student, and we'll say that is by ID information, right? So by ID like this, open bracket, close bracket. So this is how the method is created, and as usual, we need to mention the return type for this, and we need to give a proper reference where it is currently stored into. And instead of giving, I don't want to get the thing as a list, right? Because it is just one information of the student. So we don't require it to do at the list wise. It's just one information. So for that reason, Java 8 has given one of the superest collection framework, and out of which we have there is something called optional. Okay, it's called optional, and optional is also get the things as the list comes in. So just place a mouse cursor on that, and let's just get it completed. Get it imported from the Java utility. It is also the same family. All right, and now it is giving me a red color. That means I did not use the return keyword, and we should use the return keyword. And where it is currently stored, obviously it is stored in the repository itself. From the repository, I would like to get this done. That is dot. This time find by this time. Okay, so dot, this time it is find by ID. And that ID is okay, I mentioned it. As I mentioned it, as like, okay, so every student will have a ID information, right? And this ID is a unique form. It just has a unique form. So that's the reason we should be providing an information here. So I just wanted to ID return it back. And for this return it back, I'll send it as like a, okay, so I'll just get a reference that is long ID as a parameter. Okay, so for this method, long ID will go as like parameter, and that will return the information on the screen. And once after this, okay, so these are the two things that I currently can say. That is, okay, get all the student information, or one student information. So this is how, where I just say that is get is nothing but read. So if there is any information already, you can get that up. If now the question arises, what if no record? What if no record at all? It is like empty database or empty table right now. At that moment, need not to worry. What we need to do is we will create it, sir. Okay, we'll just create it. Create is nothing but, okay, create is nothing but, okay, so we'll just do the create is nothing but, we also call it as like post, or post is also called as like add. Simple as that. So we'll say that is as like public. Uh, okay, so it should be available for every other class to read it. And for this, we'll say that is add student. All right, add student. All right, open right, close bracket. So in order to add the student, it is very, very straightforward. Okay, so where we need to add it. Okay, so I'm not here to get the information, but this time I'm adding the information, right? So at this moment of time, where I supposed to add it, I should add it to the student itself. That means I need to give it to the student model. All right, the student model where it is in the repository. Repository where it is in the model. So that's how I just need to give a reference here directly the student. I don't need to return it at this moment of time. That means I don't need to return it in observe list. That's how it is. But at the end, we need to store it to the place where it's supposed to store the place. It is in the student repository itself. Dot. And this time I'll use the inbuilt method that is called save. And how to save it, sir? Okay, how to save it? And this is supposed to be the little questionable. Okay, where to store it? It is to store it in the student object, in the student object. And here is a point. Here is a point. Sir, here is a repository, and I have auto-wired it, and and as you just mentioned that every class should have an object. Then only we can able to access the class. All right. So, but however, you are trying to send it as an like object, and where is the class is created at this time, we can in the Java will give us some more power to the method to get it things done. So here itself, we can do it as like student as a class reference and student as an object reference. Okay, so this object will go as like, okay, so this is a student as a class reference, is the object reference, and that's how we can accomplish the wrapper object as well. Not only just as directly calling at this moment of a time. Okay, we can call it here as well. Okay, so we can send it over the method without any any things making it like little difficult or something like that. Just it is like class and object relationship. So we added it, sir. We created, we save it. Okay, we save it, and going forward, we delete it. All right, so we delete it. Okay, we delete it. So to delete it, sir, it is also called as like delete as well in terms of RESTful web services. All right, so here is like we'll say that is public, and when that information is going to be written on the screen. So what I supposed to say that is okay. So the particular student record is deleted. So that's the reason. Either you can use a return type which is of string, or you don't want to print it as saying that uh, if you don't want to print anything on the screen saying it is deleted or something, or in the front end you try to use it as like an alert on the browser, you wanted to catch this information through the front end, you don't need to use a string, you just need a void over here. That means void is a non-returnable method, but however you can use the string as well for the backend thing. I'll just put it both, or I'll just like use a string itself, so that we'll try to see this information in the postman. All right, I'll use a string. All right, and going forward, I'll just show it to you like how well we use the void in terms of front end as well going forward. All right, so at the time, I'll just use the string as a returnable information, as a delete the student information, just take it as like proper name. So open my close bracket, this is the method. And I can say that is a return over here, and we'll use double quote, and I'll say that is student record. We'll say that is student record deleted successfully. All right, successfully and semicolon for this. And this is how it will work. And going forward, very, very important now, there is an update. And here we need to understand. Here we need to understand. Okay, here we need to understand. In order to do the update, right? In order to do the update is something, all right? So sorry. Okay. Okay. So update is something, all right? So update is something where, see, update is something we need to say it, right? Okay, I'm so sorry. So update is something already, okay, already existing value. Okay, if there is already existing value, then only I can update it, saying that, for example, I had taken like, let's say that is 1010123. So there's an ID, right? And this ID and has some X student, okay, X to student, and has some information. Let's say that, okay, this student have got a transfer to the, okay, transfer to the other college. Okay, so that is this person has got to the another college transferred. So for this information, either I need to delete it, one option, or I can utilize this ID because it is already empty, right? So I can utilize this ID for another student. Okay, so at that time, either I can say that is delete, or you can say that is update, right? Update. See, for example, I'll say in this way. For the transfer of the college, this happened only in case that the opposite college student want to join this college and this student want to join in that college. Just an example. Just an example. If it is not also, it depends on that how well the backend developer is given a chance to do the updation over here. All right. So when transfer of the college is just happening again, and instead of creating a new data, there is already memory created, there is already ID created, and in that particular, it is be updated. First thing. Or for example, just assume in this way. Okay, assume in this way. For example, like okay, while entering the information, all right, while entering the information of any of the student, okay, by unknowingly, by human error, okay, few, let's say that is few incorrect information is added to the table. And while investigating once again, so we found that there is an incorrect information sent to the table. At the time, we can go for a update button, where if we click on update and that particular box will be edited, and that particular information, whatever it is, it has to be recorrected at the moment. Okay, for this information, sorry, for this reason also we can use a update. So to be precise here, that in order to do the update, there should be a existing value should be there. Okay, existing value, it may be incorrect information, or it may need any correction in there. Okay, you can say that is any correction needed in that particular already existed value, we can use a update thing. All right, so without any further ado, I just create one more method for that. Just take a look. Just take a look. All right, so now here for the update thing, we'll say that is public over here, and which will not have any, okay, sorry, it should have a return type. So, okay, all this information will happen at the student level, and here I'll say that is, update student, right? We'll say that is update student, open by close bracket, open flower base at this moment of time. Okay, and all these informations, okay, so first thing first, I need to check, all right, I need to check, first thing first, I need to check if the student, record, all right, student record is available. First thing first, is available. So in order to do that, okay, in order to do that, simple stuff, I'll just get into the student class, and I cannot directly get into student class just like that. So for that reason, I'll just create an object, student as student, and is equal to, and where it is present. Okay, so this student object, okay, so we all know that there is like, right hand side information will go to the left hand side. All right, so for that reason, okay, so instead of creating this, okay, I'll just write my right hand side information, then I'll assign to the left hand side. And as you all know that, okay, I cannot directly get into class, need an object, but that object should have some information. That is, I need to check whether the student is available or not. So for this reason, so where this information is currently being available, it is available in the student repository. So from the student repository, dot, say that it is find by ID. All right, so it is like, please find by ID if you got any information. All right, find by ID. So this find by ID, okay, find by ID. Okay, so if you got it, fine. Or else, if you got it, fine. Or else, it's like, let's say that is, or else, there is some information it's supposed to get into. All right, so before you check it, something here, we'll say, pass some parameters, because the ID is not getting recognized. I'll say that it's long ID, and where it's supposed to be from, it's supposed to be from the student class. All right, it's supposed to be from the student class, and I'll create an object for this, that is student, small letter, that is student details. All right, this is an object, what we can say. All right, so from in here, you can say this, it give me dot, or else, yeah, there you go. Okay, because it is just needed an optional information. It's like if value present, you can see the IntelliSense itself is telling that if value present, returns the value, otherwise returns other. That's what it is trying to say. So it is like, and I'll just take that is else part over here, that is or else. All right, and here obviously it should be student details. Otherwise, we'll just use a simple exception example over here. That is simple exceptional example over here. That is like, I'll create the anonymous method. That is, and I'll just say that is new runtime error. Okay, so new runtime exception, or okay, so runtime exception. This is what we're going to say, like exception, that is student record is not available, or student record not available, or record not found. This is enough. All right, we'll say a semicolon at the moment, and that's it. Okay, so this is something to try to give you a runtime exception. Okay, that means, exception is something which is trying to bind the error, okay, system error, which we generally not understand properly. Okay, so for this also we have a particular videos are been done on this particular, you can figure out. Anyways, we have provided to the right hand side, that is like student, and for this we'll give a student class reference, and this is how it is. And here is that I think something is missing because it is giving some error. I'll just get into the next line, that is dot or else, and let student found it, and at the end we can say that is like this, that is try to get at what ID we are trying to send out. Okay, so something is show here because I think I need to have the target exception must be functional interface. Okay, so that's the thing. So here is I just missing the functional interface, right? Okay, hope you have understood that what I'm trying to do and how we are trying to update the information. All right. So okay, find by ID and dot or else, and here functional information, that means I need to give a functional information here. That's what it is saying, that is, or else we'll try to say it as like throw. Okay, that means throw, open bracket and close bracket like this. And it is trying to give, I think we don't have a return. So that's what it's saying, that is add a return statement. We'll say that is before add a return statement, I would like to gather all the information from state students. All right. So from this case, like, okay, so from the student information dot, and I'll say here that is please set the name first. Right. And where it is supposed to be, it is from supposed to be, that is student details. All right, dot, and we'll say that is please get the name. And this is the beauty. Okay, this set name get name is the beauty where we have created this student.java class, and this is actually coming from here. This is actually coming from here. All right, please set it properly. Okay, so if there is any incorrection had happened for the particular, and we set that, and every time like when we say that is set name, it will go the parameter as string and it will like get the information as such. So because of this getter setters, we are able to update. If the getter setters are not available, that this is completely a mess. It will not work properly. All right, so that's how it is. And once again, we'll say that is no student. Okay, once again, we'll say that it is student dot, and please, after the set name, we can say that is, set email. So it should not be a set ID to be set, all right? Because that is a auto generation. Fine, okay? So we'll say that is like, student details dot, okay? Not students, all right? So it is capital details, all right? Details dot, and we'll say that is get email. Next thing. And once again, we'll say that is student dot, we'll say set name is done, set email is done, set semester, and this is student details dot, we'll say that it's get semester, simple as that. And once again, a last information, that is student dot set course, student and details, student details dot get course. So this information, and yet again my method is giving me a red indication here because I have not used the return type. We'll just say that is return only. The moment when you take a return, that red indication will go up and return the information. From where to return it? It is to return to the student repository because I need to store it in there after whatever the update you will do it. So dot in here, and we'll say please save that particular student information. That's it. There's a you will do the all proper business logic, sir, and this is how it is done. So until here, all like almost all. Okay, almost all things is done. Okay, almost all things are done. Okay. Okay, yeah, almost all things are done. So what we have did so far, we had created the model and we had created the repository. Okay, and we had created the services. Right, that is service, and from the model it had been to this repository service. All right, from this services we need to get into the controller, and from in here, okay, from in here the reverse information also should come. So controller to the service to the repository to the model. So this is like two-way directional. All right, so in between, to connect between the repository and service, we had used that is auto wired as a annotation, and at the same time for the controller also, we'll say that is at the rate auto wired. And here we need to utilize the HTTP mapping because I want this controller is a person who gets the information on the browser side. So we need the HTTP mapping. And in terms of HTTP mapping, we'll say that is get, okay, post, okay, put, and we say that is delete. That's how it is. So first we need to get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, and delete mapping. And we all know that, okay? So get mapping is nothing but a read. That means get all the student information, all right? And post is nothing but save the student, all right? Put is nothing but update the student, and delete is nothing but a delete the student record. And this is what we have did so far. All right, so we'll proceed further and we'll get this thing done in a proper way out. All right, so now here let's get the controller class created. And before I get back to controller class, let's make it a like HTTP readable annotation for that, and really important, that is nothing but REST controller. All right, it is called REST controller. All right, and this REST controller, I would like to tell my browser, okay, hey, my dear browser, please open this particular link. It is like HTTP, and my system is going to work like a local host, and Apache Tomcat server will run on 8080 port. Okay, and this is my home page. This is my home page. If I say that is REST controller, so obviously it is at the home page, it will start it. Or else we'll we'll say that is like, students. All right, so this students is nothing but, it's called mapping. It's called mapping. So that means it is called URL mapping. You can say in a general understanding. Okay, you can say it is a general understanding. So for this reason, we'll say here, okay, so we'll say here that is what we say, that is at the rate. It is like, we'll say that is request mapping, and please request mapping at it here. Okay, so generally it is application programming interface, and I'll just use it as like v1, and / we'll say it is like students. Okay, so that means what I've said it here, instead of directly the student over here, what I've said is, okay, what I have said is like, I had said it as like, please say it is like, API, and I had said it as like, v1. I would have said it as like students, or like said that students. So this is my URL mapping for a home page of backend. Okay, or you can say it is like backend homepage. So this is how it will work. Okay, and I'll be trying to tell the further information is that, okay, so here is the thing. All right, so here is the thing that, so I'll just place my mouse cursor or just click on this X mark so that it will get imported. Okay, import it from the REST controller from the stereotype, and click on this X mark or code also, and this will import it from the request mapping. All right, so that's how it is coming in. And furthermore, now we need to get connected. All right, we need to get connected. Okay, get connected to the major information. Where it is present? It is present in the service layer. Right? It is present in the service layer. So who is the service over here, sir? It is somebody who is like set to be student service, is a class. And for this, we'll create a wrapper object. Let's say that is a student, and we'll say it is like service. Or we will just use that is S as in capital, so that making a little difference change over student service. And this is get connected, right? So for the getting connected, as usual thing, that is nothing but at the rate, it is auto wired. All right, and please provide the access modifier. Even if you are not right here, that is any access modifier, by default it will go like public. So I'm just placing it as like a public this time. Why? Okay, so you might can ask me. So previously you had used it as like previously you had used it as like private, and now you're using it as like a public and everything. Okay, so I want this information to be read by the another application. So that's the reason it's supposed to be as like public. All right. So but yet again we have you know talk more about the access plus modifier going future, but as of now, please make sure that this particular class supposed to be read by the another application. So that's the reason I'm just keeping as like a public. And please place a mouse cursor and get it imported from the service model as we have created. All right, so for this thing, I'll just close it off. I mean, I'm just erase it off for the better watch and all. All right, so hope you have understood until here, and I had made it as like pretty easy to understand and pretty easy to make the project to be done at this moment of time, guys. And going forward, it is auto wired, and from the service, what we have get all student information. We'll try to get that one. All right, student information. Okay, and we have that is get get student, all right, get student by ID information, and we have that is save the student, and we have that is delete the student, all right, and we have that is update the student. Okay, and this has to be mapping, sir. Okay, this has to be mapping. Get all is nothing but a get mapping. All right, again, get by ID is also a get mapping. Get mapping, and save is nothing but a post. All right, delete is nothing but a delete. Okay, delete is nothing but a delete. Update is nothing but is put mapping. Is a put map. All right, so hope you understood that what we are going to do at this moment of a time, and let's get it done going forward. So the very first thing, okay, get the information first, get all the information, and obviously it is creating the methods at this moment also. Okay, so we'll say that is okay. So as usual, we'll say that is public, and it is coming in terms of list, and it is a reference of student. It is a reference of student, and we'll say that is like get all students, get all students. Open bracket, close bracket, open parenthesis. All right. So at this moment of time, we'll say that is return, and return is like student service this time, not a repository. So student service dot, and here we'll say that is get all students and close it. And this is going to be at the rate get mapping. Okay, get mapping. All right. So place a mouse cursor or click on this X mark and get it imported. Get mapping is imported, and place a mouse cursor on the list and click on the import and place a mouse cursor on the student and get it import from the model. So once it is done, and this is get all students, and I would like to get it from the one student. And once again, it is like public. Okay. And as usual, this time, okay, you can use it. Very important thing is at this moment of time, like, when we try to say that is okay, so hey server or hey database, I wanted to see this information, one information from the student. At the time, we should get the uh, result, or we generally say there is a one word, there is something called a request and response. It's a very usual topic what we talk in terms of a browser or in terms of server or something. Okay, so from the request, from the get mapping, request is requesting a end server with the ID and should give the response back. Should give the response back. All right, so this response should keep the data. All right, and this data is also called in another terminology, it is like entity. All right, entity. So it's a response entity. Okay, so that's the reason. What will I use the uh, method name is, we'll use it as like response. All right, I'll use it as like response entity, right? Response entity. And what information? It is a student response information, and it is like what, how it should come. It should like get student by. That's it. Very, very straightforward step. All right. So now here, and I should request it, right? I should request it. Correct. So what should I request it? I should request it with the mapping. With the mapping. Wherever the mapping, there is something URL. So it is like, after the 8080 of say 8080. Okay. So we should have that is, forward slash, it is like API. All right. API forward slash, it is a V1. And here in the place, I should give the ID information, right? ID information. And this information go to the browser with the request, or it should go like a variable information. It's like a variable. And whenever there is a URL I talk about, URL is called as like one more word is called path. It's a path, how it is going to how it's supposed to go. So like that, I'll send this ID information as like, I'll send a annotation, I'll send the information as a parameter that is at the rate, it is like path and V capital variable. Okay, so variable. So it should go like this. And here we'll use that is long ID, because long is a data which is getting responded back. Correct. So we'll say that is return the information from where it is student service, and say it is okay student service dot, and please get the student, not all, I'm so sorry, it is get the student. Okay, get student. Right. So wait a second. So that is get student by, there you go, get all student by ID. Right, student by ID. If it is coming in back, that's all fine. Otherwise, please map it. Okay, I'm using it, the map reference for this. The map is nothing but if a value present, returns an optional describing that the result is applying to the given mapping function to the value. Otherwise, returns an empty optional. Okay, so optional is one of the place where it looks forward only the value which is present. All right, so optional is one of the place. Our list is also the same. If there is any value, it comes in. If there is no value, it will not come. So here we'll take that is response entity. So I'll just call this function itself. I'll just call the function back. That is response entity. And we'll say, please, okay, that is colon colon is the scope resolution. All right. Otherwise, I'll say that is okay or else, as usual. Okay. Or else, please throw me an error. And I'll give it as like a function reference. That is a lambda function. We also call it like anonymous reference. We'll say that is response entity dot, and we'll say it is like not found. All right. So, but that not found should come as like a method reference. It is not coming in because might be something that I missed it. But anyways, not found, and it should come like inbuilt BILT build function like this. Okay, and okay, that's it worked. And place a mouse cursor on the path variable. Please import it, and place a mouse cursor for a response entity, and please import it as well. And that is coming from HTTP. Remember that, and that's what I said. Okay, so that's what I said. Okay, so HTTP is the where we actually sending a request to the browser, and then it's like trying to get the response as well. Okay, so as usual, you can see we are getting the same error that what we have got. It is like the function reference is not there, but yeah, we'll get it in like, okay, so instead of or else, we'll use it as a function name, right? So last time we'll use it as like throw, and this time you can see it is IntelliSense is already giving a reference, and I'll just go with it. So like change it to or else get. I'll just get it to or else get, because the moment when you say that is get over here, that's the name of the method. Okay, so it is not mandate that it should take a get. You can still say the throw, okay, or you can still say that is any name. But as of now, let's just go with it. I don't want to make it like more difficult at this moment of time. Let's just go with the flow. All right, and going forward, I need to save the value now. Okay, I need to save the student information. I need to save the student information, and here we'll say that it's like public as usual. Where it to store? It's to store to the student, and here we'll say that is create or add student. Right, create or add student, both are the same. Add user is like add student or create student. All right, so student. All right, open white space purpose. Right, so it is it is the red color over there. That means I am just missing the return one. So just say that is written, and it's coming from not response entity. I'm so sorry. I'm just take this as like student service. Simple as that. Okay, service and dot. We'll say that is save student. All right, save student. All right. Okay. So anyways, we need to save the information, right? So here I need to give the response. Okay, so I need to not a response. It should go like a request body. Like means I am trying to tell my database. Here is a request which goes in. Here is once again the request goes in, and this request goes to the database. Okay, not to the browser. Okay, so here it is going like it is going to browser. Okay, browser, or it is going to once again. Yeah, I'm so sorry. It is going to DB only, because if there is a DB information present, obviously it will come to the browser. And here the request is going to the DB, and database is giving to the browser itself. Okay, but however, this time directly requesting to the browser to save this value. Okay, save this value. So that's the reason. What we need to do is, okay, before that, let me clear all those things, because it may be impacting the problem. I mean, sorry, maybe impacting the good watchful code. All right. So I just cleaned my screen. All right. So let's get to the further thing. So now here, I'll just create an object for this, and I'll send it as like a request body this time. All right. I'm going to request it as like, student to student. All right. So place a mouse cursor for this request body and get it imported, and place a mouse cursor, and here we'll say that is dot, and we'll say that is save student to the reference to the student, because I have already told like class reference and object reference. All right, and that's it. I think student reference is changed to add student. I'm so sorry. That's it. So add student. Yeah, add student is actually coming from the service level, right? Service level here. Here I have taken it as like a add student. That's what it is. Going back to the controller, that's it, sir. And now going forward is a put mapping. Put mapping is really very straightforward stuff. And delete stuff is there also. All right, so straightforward stuff. And obviously delete is like at the rate. Okay. Okay, so here, I'm so sorry, I just not mentioned that is annotation here. It is like get mapping with the help of / with the help of ID. All right. And here the save is Okay, we'll say that it is like post mapping. That's what it is just shown in here. Post mapping, it certainly not needed any ID information or something like that. Just keep it as it is. Okay, and place a mouse cursor for this and get it imported. That's it. Let's go it further and we'll say that is public for this. We'll say that is public, and public is like once again where it is coming from. It is again, we'll say that it's a response entity. Okay, response entity, and this entity is supposed to be it is like a string information, right? String information which is going to give me a message, and we'll say that is like delete student, and within this open bracket close bracket on 4 plus, and for this obviously we'll delete it with the help of id, and this supposed to go as like once again it is a path variable, and I should set it in the path variable. Okay, so this particular id is supposed to be deleted. Okay, path variable, we'll say that it's in a long id. We'll say that is long id. All right, so once it has been done, sir, okay, so just delete it from the particular place. All right, delete it from the particular place where it is from. Okay, it is from a student service dot, we'll call it as like delete student already, because this method is already created, right? So dot, there you go, delete student. So once it is deleted by the student, okay, so student ID is supposed to be deleted, right? So after this, we'll try to return it to the student. Okay, so this response entity. Okay, so this is one of the method. It's going to call it on oneself response entity dot, and this time it should say that is in a no content. Okay, no content is one of the inbuilt method which has no information on status. All right, so it's like build, use the build. That means inbuilt one, and place a mouse cursor for this delete student. I think remove argument match. That's okay. Okay, please change it to add student. Or I'm so sorry, maybe the missing that okay, yes, capital, small capital, add a parameter long change, because this annotation which generally comes from, sorry, this suggestion which generally comes from the service class what you have created. If I just click it here and just try to see what delete method that is being okay, created is like delete student. All right, delete student. All right, so just copy this and just come back to the controller and place the same as it is. Okay, it is the same, but it is trying to say something. Remove the argument. All right, fine. Okay, so okay, so this certainly not needed, I think. Okay, yeah, because it is already provided that, and to be precise, we'll see further. Okay, so if there is any things which comes into moving further. So once again, the update is all as usual. I said that is existing information should be there, and we'll say that is once again the response entity. All right, so the response entity, same thing. Okay, it's an inbuilt one which comes from the HTTP. Okay, response entity, and it is from the student because there should be updating always the existing information, right? So for this, I'll send it as like path variable as usual. Path variable is again, it is a concept of long ID, and from in here we need to request it. Okay, because update is something which is going to search the ID first, and at the same time it should request the body to store whatever the changes that what we are making in the database. So that's how it will work. So we'll send it as request body, and here where it's supposed to go, it should go to the student class. All right, so student, and here I'll just tell like student details as I previously did So student details over here, and here we'll try to get it updated to the student itself. Okay, so at the right hand side, I'll just change it over like where it's supposed to come from. It's supposed to come from the student service. Take the student service. Okay, dot, and I'll call it as like update student. I'm so sorry that this method is currently present in the student service itself. Okay, so if I just take you there, and it is currently here, that is update student. Okay, so this method is coming from coming from the student service, and it is actually storing into the controller level. So it should have an ID and the student details, obviously, and let's return it to the response entity. All right, and before that, we should need to store it in the particular object, and they should have a student as a student. Right. So please return back to the student service and store it, whatever the updation that you have did. So we'll say that it's okay. And here we'll update we'll call the update student information. That's it. All right, so place a mouse cursor for this, and then please update student should not be no point over here. That's okay. That's all fine. And that's it for the moment. All right. So this is how it will just come into picture. And please save everything. And please save everything. And okay. So sorry. Sorry. Please save everything. And I think this is update student. Create the local, change it to student. That's it. Okay, we should say it here. That is like, yeah, it's like I'll take it as like update and yes, capital student. That's what I just tried to change it. Just missed it. There you go. So that's something the object is going to do. So everything is ready over here, sir. Save everything, and I think that red indication has been gone. Okay is giving me create okay student in the page, cast it to student service. Wait a second, I'll just take it in proper way out. Okay, I'll just take it in proper way. That is student service as in just above. I'll just copy this. All right, I'll just copy this and I'll just place it here and dot and say it is okay. Okay, and for this okay, we call this update student. Okay, I'll say a small letter. Okay, because first letter is always goes with a small letter in the variable, but then okay, and this is put mapping is going to be happening at the rate. It is like PUT put mapping, and obviously put mapping will go with the ID reference. You go like a ID. So put mapping is also to be imported here. So place a put mapping at this one. So this is how we always, provides the complete information to the browser using the HTTP mapping. And this mapping will be like get, post, put, delete. And for the delete mapping, okay, I'm so sorry, I've just missed it here. That is just like delete as in delete map. And delete mapping we also have a reference with the ID set. Okay, and this delete mapping is supposed to be imported from the bind annotation as well. Okay, and here I think this, okay, let me tell you this. Okay, I'm so sorry. This is not going to be student service. Okay, this is supposed to go to the response entity. That's what I just missed, because this response entity is actually coming from HTTP service, right? HTTP1, because response entity is that okay. So it is an extension of HTTP entity that adds the status code for that. So that's how it is. So save everything. Everything is ready. Okay, everything is ready. So complete details is ready. And now here just we are just a small step that what we need is we just need that is a database created for this. All right, because every information supposed to be stored and every information supposed to be every information supposed to be called it from the database. So what we have did it, we have created the module, we had created the repository. Okay, we had created the repository, we had created the service, and we had created the controller. So entirely what we have did is we had talked about the student ID, we had talked about the student name, we had talked about the student email address, and we had talked about the student course, and we had talked about the student's age. Okay, sorry, I think it's a student course and student SEM. And these informations are actually being stored in the database. And from this here, model to repository, repository to service, service to controller, controller to service, service to repository, repository to model, everything is a Java, right? And this Java is supposed to connect the DB. So that means I need to call a JDBC in the middle. So Java database connector. And these type of properties, okay, so where Java is entirely getting connected to the database, that means I need to talk about few properties, and that properties are JDBC properties. All right, these properties are going to be JDBC properties. All right, so JDBC properties within which we'll talk about the Hibernate and within which we'll talk about the MySQL dialect. So these informations are really, really important, and these supposed to be happened in the applications.property file. And without any further ado, get it created there also, because we everything we have did it so far now. So we are just one step away. We are just one step away to get this project completed. That where the backend development of the particular Java project, guys. All right, so let's just get this done, and I'll just simply come back to the application property. And before the application property, before the application property, before the application property, let us create a database. All right, and for that database, we need an application, and that is called MySQL Workbench. Let me just launch that particular application, sir. Okay, there you are. So please click OK for that and just try to open it. Oh my God, it's trying to search. I think it is not found it in my system. Okay, so I'll get it installed and rest of the things will be taken care. You don't have to worry about it. Or do we see that is command line by any chance? Okay, still it is going there. Fine, not a problem. And I have Microsoft installer community with me and it is going to be installed by any chance. Okay, everything is going to the application installation. That means this application is not there. And let me just quickly go back and check my download section. If there is any application which is already there in my system so that I can start my installation, just the backend. And to the further things apart. So let me just try JDK I have in Eclipse I have in. Okay, okay. If it is not, okay, I'll just install it in any moment. Let me just try to see. Okay, MySQL is not there. Fine, okay. So what I do is without any further ado, I'll just go to my browser and click on my browser and say it here that is MySQL Workbench, the official website. Get it to the official website. All right, get it to the official website, and here is like, okay, click on this, and this will be taken further. Okay, so here, scroll down, and I think I need to get into the download section. There it is. Click on the downloads and just scroll down. And we need to get into MySQL Community GPL downloads. Click on that. And here you can get into the MySQL installer for the Windows. Click on that. And here you have this files 2.1 file and 558. And please get into 558 one because that will be having the total entire setup. And click on no thanks and just start my download. And this will be starting, and of course it has another 5 minutes to go. And before that, let me just come back and do my further steps to be done in the application property, and really important. And here, as I said, okay, so it is like, we need to create, right? We need to create, or we need to build, right? Build a connection, right? Build a connection to the database. It's really important. All right, so we'll just try to get in things done. All right, it's a very straightforward thing, guys. And let me finish that particular. Okay, get the things done as usual. All right. So here, as it is a Spring application, obviously it is currently running at the 8080 port. By default, it will run it, so we don't need to worry about it. So if you wanted to do the server configuration at the end, okay, sorry, at the first, there is something called server configuration, what we generally call it as, that configuration, we generally call it as like, it is something called as like a server dot port, and this is currently 8080. Even if you don't type it as like 8080, it automatically runs on 8080 because Apache Tomcat by default runs on a port of 8080. But for a safer side, I'm just typing it as like 8080. And going forward, okay, going forward, we will be trying to do that is, MySQL driver, okay, MySQL driver getting connected. So here we need to provide a username, we need to provide a password, we need to do the dialect and each and everything. So just need to keep on mentioning on that. All right, so the very first thing is like, okay, so as I just mentioned, that is JDBC, right? JDBC. And this JDBC is like, okay, so here is that we need to make a connectivity for the database server. So for the JDBC connection from the Spring, we'll use a Spring dot, and we'll use that is data source. Okay, we'll use that is called data source. We'll use that is called data source and dot URL. And this URL is something which is trying to tell about the database connectivity as a something. So we'll say that is, JDBC dot, and from where, okay, so not a dot, actually we use a colon, and where it is connecting to, it is connecting to MySQL. Okay, JDBC is my connection, and very, very important is that, okay, so it is like, okay, so I just not mentioned, I think going forward, and let me just tell you this, backend application, which is connected to 8080, like that, this backend application is going to communicate with the MySQL Workbench application, and even the MySQL Workbench is also runs on particular localhost, and that is with 3306, okay, upon the localhost. Please, remember this. And I'll give the information here itself. The React is also runs on a local host, all right, and that connects with the port 3000. And here, to be precise here, and we need to make a proper connectivity from 80802 to 3306, and from 3306 to 3000. So everything's supposed to be again interconnected in between two. So front end to the database, database to the back end, and back end to the database, database to the front end, like that. So it should be a proper connectivity between these applications as well. So here is what exactly is going to happen is like from Java to SQL, and from SQL to React. Okay. So when you accomplish all these three frame all together, that's where your full stack development happens. FSD. All right. So hope you got a complete agenda that what we are actually doing in this video. All right, so here we'll say that is http:// okay. Okay, I'm sorry, it is like MySQL // and here we'll say that is localhost directly. We'll say that is 3306, and after that we just need to give a database reference over here. And at the time I'm just using that is student database as a student DB, and this is enough. All right, and make sure that this particular same name that will use it while creating the database, because before a data, without a database, we won't be able to create a table. All right, I'll just simply come back to my browser to see whether it is downloaded completed. Yes, it is downloaded completed. Click on that and get it to the file structure, file folder where it is currently into, and I just double click and I start my installation of the application. All right, and it is currently started. Let us start it, and okay, asking yes. Given the administrator access to that. All right, let me clear my screen. There you go. And just come back to my database, my Java back. And here, make sure that we will be creating a DB as a, database as a, student DB as a database. All right, so say it is okay, yes. All right, it should work in the meantime. And going forward, we need to say that is a driver class, very, very important. Because very, very important. So we need to run our driver. All right, so that's a driver class from this Java to connecting to JDBC, right? So we'll say that is Spring, right? We say that is Spring dot, and once again we'll say that is what source it is. It is the data source. All right, and data source dot, and here we'll say that is driver class, and driver class name is equal to, we'll say that is com dot cj, or that is MySQL dot cj dot jdbc, and dot it is driver. All right, so we generally see this in a Google. All right, we generally can search this as like Spring data source driver class name, but obviously it is available in the Google, and you can directly take it from it. It is very, very known stuff. And please remember all these things, because it is a straightforward information just like that, and you just keep a copy of somewhere and you can utilize it wherever it is needed in the other project as well. It is absolutely fine. Okay, so there is only much changes from this into this particular. And going forward, the third option is that we need to set the credentials. Just need to credentials which are from MySQL application, right? So from MySQL application. Okay, so whereas need to log into the MySQL application. I'll show it to you. All right. So, but anyways, let's just get into server only. I'll just say that is full installation at this mode of time, and click on next, and all this information should come in. So I'll just click on execute, and obviously it takes some time to get the things done. Okay, it is started in progress. So once it is completed, we would be able to see all the information going forward. Okay, so now here, how to connect it? Okay, from anyways, it is Spring application. Obviously, Spring we have to take it, and data source. Obviously, data is present at the database level, so that's where it is source, and we'll say that is in the username. I'm going to set it as like root. And I would like to give password also, that is spring dot data source, and dot we'll use that is password is equal to root as well. Okay. And after that, really important that we need to talk about Hibernate dialect. We need to talk about Hibernate dialect, and very important that we need to talk about it, because which is going to tells, okay, it's going to tells the Hibernate, will tells the Hibernate, all right, Hibernate to use the MySQL dialect to have a proper connectivity and see the data which is present in here. All right, so we do now going forward, we'll talk about this connectivity as well. We'll talk about the MySQL, and I'll still do the videos about it, so you can still make use of that, and coming back and understanding these things would make easy. Okay, so now to get the MySQL dialect, what we need to do is we need to come back to the main function. I mean, that is main function present or main class present. And here we need to have the shortcut of Control Shift T. Control Shift T, and here you will see it as like MySQL, and you will just write it as like dialect, and please hit an enter. So that's where the dialect is present. Okay, so this dialect is present at this moment in time. So please take a please just get above, just get into above. So we just need to take this package name, just need to take a package name, just please copy of that and take a copy of that. Okay, so I would like to, okay, I think editable is not here. Okay, fine. So I'll just come back here, and for the dialect, I'll just use the package name, and I'll just go back once again and into that wherever the dialect is currently present. Or I'll once again, I'll just say Control F in here. Okay, so it is not working. That's okay. I'll just close it at this moment. I have just get into once again to the class application here. Control Shift T, and once again type it as like MySQL dialect. Okay, so hit enter and get into that, and please take a copy of this class name and come back to the properties, and please use that is dot and use the same thing dialect. All right, dialect, and here just give it to the given, that is equal to, it is like spring dot again data source dot, and you will say that is Hibernate. Okay, or else instead of giving to data JPA over here, okay, so spring dot we'll say that is JPA dot, we'll say that is data source and hyphen. It is a platform where we are trying to say that is MySQL to, I mean, we are telling the Hibernate to use the MySQL database to get the things connected. Okay, so Hibernate or Hibernate, you can call anytime. I mean, anyhow you pronounce it as, that's up to you. So dialect is done, sir. Very important. That's a crucial thing. And every time that whatever the data that I'm going to place, it's going to update on itself. That is, update the data. All right, update the data every time that make manipulation in the data table. All right, so for that we'll say that is a spring.jpa, and that is dot, and it is of Hibernate, and dot ddl and hyphen update, and this supposed to be true. This supposed to be true. Here true. All right, or you can update this. DDL update is equal to true. That's up to you. Or else you can make it this way. That is DDL hyphen. We can make it auto update, and we'll give it as like update for the updating thing. And for queries, that SQL queries, that what we have. Okay, SQL queries in the console to show it up. And for that reason, we'll say that is spring.jpa and dot show hyphen SQL. Show hyphen SQL is equal to, we'll keep it as like true. We'll keep it as like true. So these are all the application properties which are currently needed. And we could see that is everything is going perfect here and everything is fine here. Okay, so make sure that we supposed to create a database which is called StudentDB. But anyways, come back to my MySQL one now. Whether it is completely installed or not installed, we're gonna see that. All right, come back here and everything is okay. So it is installing right now. So it is taking taking a bit of time here. Let's just try to wait for a moment. But until here, if I just summarize that what we have actually did so far here is that, okay. So we had created the Java class completely. We had created a complete Java as a backend, and this Java is trying to get connected to the database. Okay, so in the database, we're going to create a database which is called StudentDB. which is going to be called student DB. And within the student DB, it's going to create a student class. Sorry, it's going to, not a class, and class, obviously it is a table. All right, student table. And within the student table, we're going to get an information of ID of the student, name of the student, email of the student, okay, and SEM of the student, and course of the student. So these 5 information is going to store in the database. All right, and it is completely a JPA, that is Jakarta Persistence Layer, that it is being utilized. And also we have to use the Hibernate. Okay, for the Hibernate, okay, going forward, we'll do much videos about it. We'll talk about it, and you can still learn from there. And as for now, Hibernate will run on ORM model, that is object relational mapping. So every information that is called like an object. See, for example, what am I trying to say is that, okay, so what am I trying to say is that, say, for example, if there's a class, and within the class, you have a method as a, Java prospect I'm talking about, if there is a method, and from the main method, right, from the main method, if you're trying to access this method, what do? We'll use a dot operator with the class reference, right? Class and the dot operator. And what do? We create an object for that. We create an object for the class first, and then class and object, and then we'll use that is object and dot, we'll call that particular method. I'm so sorry, this dot will not come in here. The class information, object information. All right, so I'm so sorry. I don't want to confuse it here. Just write it once again. So thing is, okay, wait a second. I'll just take a different app. Okay, so see, there is a class set. Okay, so within the class, we have a method. And we have some information with that particular, and from the main method, right, from the main method. Okay, so here what we do is we'll create an object first. And using this object, we'll use a dot operator to call this method, correct? We'll call it as like method. And this is what we call it as like, it is called object mapping generally. Generally, we'll call it as like object mapping. Like that, in the Hibernate also, we have that is ORM, that is object relational mapping. Relational, it is going to say relation. So how is it going to work? There is a database. Okay, there is a database. Within the database, we have a table. Let's assume that it is a X database, and it is a Y table. All right, it is a X. It's a X database, right? X database, Y table. And if I say that is, I wanted to see complete information, we can say that is select star means all, and it is from, all right? From select star from, we can say that it's X dot Y, like this. So X is a class over here, dot is a dot operator, Y is a object reference. And this beauty can be achieved with the help of Hibernate, and Hibernate will be running upon ORM model. Okay, going forward, we'll talk about it the more. Okay, going forward, we'll talk about it more. And as I could say, it is like 73 to 76% has been done. So we'll wait for a 100% to be done. So it is taking some more time over here. Okay, apart from this, it is everything is going forward, and apart from this, is everything is fine. So once it has been done right, we will be able to see that is the entire structure, and we will be checking our API, and we will be checking API testing as well, and we'll try to see whether the data is coming up or not. Okay.
Well, finally, we had come across that MySQL is completely installed, and we're going to check the connectivity for the local database. And once it is connected to that, we'll try to do our Spring application run, and later which we'll try to see the Hibernate is getting connected and all the data are getting stored into the database and everything. And you can see that it is currently asking us to enter the password, and this is really, really important to get this done. And I have just configured it as username password, both are the same. So I'm just logging into my SQL. Once it is done, and yeah, there you go. All right, There you go. So here, as we have already created that is student DB, and I would like to be just use this as a student DB, just run this up particular one, and out of which is okay. So it is currently selected as that one particular sir. Now going forward, what I do is the very simplest things that come back to the Java, and I could see that okay. So if I just summarize that what exactly has been done so far is that we had created we had created all the model, okay, that is student model, and which has a repository to store the same thing, and from the repository to a service layer where it has all the complete logic, and from here the controller is been designed, and both on side we had been given a two-way communication between these two informations, and now this particular architecture will be executed as a Spring Boot application. All right, and that's what the project is talk about. All right, so once we run this as a Spring Boot application, we should see that the Java is getting connected to the database, that is JDBC. That is JDBC, that is Java Database Connectivity. All right, so we had used Hibernate to work it as like object relation mapping. All right, so it has to get connected. So without any further ado, let me just take a quickly come back and just check for the student class. All right, so I'm just clicking over here and just try to see the model which is currently created. So it is something which has an information of ID, name, email, and semester and course. And also the repository from in here, we had been to the repository, and which is certainly the interface. And I just mentioned that we should need a basic knowledge about uh, inheritance, right? So this is also example of abstraction, because I had used the interface over here, and at the same time I had used the extents as well. So that's where is a combination of abstraction and the inheritance, and then we had created the student service where all the business logic is to be added. Here we try to get all the student information, get the student by ID, and saving the student entirely, and deleting the information of the student record, and at last we are deleting that information. And the same thing we tried to map it over the controller, so that I would like to see this over the HTTP. And also we had did that application property, which is really important to get it connected with the database. All right, so I think this dialect is not needed at this moment time. I'll just close it up. So all these five classes, or all these five Java dependent coding is really, really important. And once again, I come back to my student management application here, right click, and I would like to get into this like run as Java application, and this should start as a Spring Boot application. All right, so in the console, we would be able to see that is as a Spring. All right, so waiting for a moment. So once it is get ready, so we'll be checking whether the table is getting created as a database, and then the further implementation we're gonna see. All right, yeah, there you go. So Spring has been started, and for the better understanding and a better watch, what I do is like, I just expand this. It's a little bottom, so that we could be able to see that is the things. And I can see it here. Yes, there you go. Okay, so Tomcat has been started in the 8080 portal HTTP. It is a part of HTTP, and it is Apache Tomcat server, as I just mentioned before. And now there you go. And here the database info is trying to give, because the com.mysql cj JDBC is as we got a connectivity, and it has been implemented over the object address. Okay, so this is what we are getting as the memory address or object address. So that means the connection is completed, and then it has been started also, and within which we have database information. All right, so we have a database information as this in particular, and it is connected in, and that's very, very good sign that the project is started. And congratulations, guys, the backend project is ready and it is up and running, whereas a live server is also loaded. And actually we could see that student management system application has been started in 25.3 seconds going forward. All right, so this means it's completely done, and I would like to come back to my database and check out if there is any table is created. Just reload it, and there you go, the student table is created. Right click on that, and we'll say that is select the first option, select 100 rows of limit, and there you go. Okay, so there is already information has been passed over here, but anyways, I just try to see that. Okay, so currently what I do is, let me just try to delete this information or try to enter this information, I think. Okay, so I have been checked that whether it is working fine or not. So let it be. I'll just show it like a live over here. So just come back to the Postman in order to test that particular link. All right, so now here we need to make an understanding here. Okay, so we need to make an understanding here is that okay, we need to make an understanding here that it is what exactly is going on. So just like to tell you here is that, see, for example, here Eclipse is used for the Java development. All right, that means in the Java, we will be creating the API calls. Okay, so this API call is getting connected to the MySQL, whereas the data is going to store in terms of DB. And from the DB, these informations will be like intercommunicated, and whatever the API is being called, and this has to be tested. This has to be tested by using an application which is called Postman. All right, so in going forward, we will have a more practices over the Postman, so we will understand what we are actually doing in. All right, so currently currently the home application which has been used is Eclipse is used, MySQL is used, and Postman is used. And VS Code, what I have already talked, what I already talked about is it is going to be a front end one. All right, so that's what I'm trying to say at this moment of time. So now I could say that is the student information is been created, or possibly I can delete this particular, but I'll delete in while up. But before that, let me just add some information and check that what. Okay, so how it is going to how it is going to be added and check and everything. So what we do is we'll get back to the Java controller and where all the mapping has been done. Come back to the Java class in here. All right, so come back here and we'll get into the student controller. And here the student controller, this is the mapping. This is the mapping after the localhost. So this in the localhost, I'll just simply copy of this. Just take a copy of that and we'll try to see that is how the front end not front end, it's like the back end connectivity is going to happen. So come back to the Postman, right? Come back to the Postman. So within the Postman, we will be like as usual, it is already been taken here, so that means 8080 API v1 students. I think I have been already been practice of this, so that's the reason it's coming on. That's okay, not a problem. So there is no much things to look into it. So what it is supposed to be, sir, as per it is localhost is running in 8080p. That is what the Java is talking about. And here, so if I go back to the console, so console, it's already provided an information saying that the current server is currently running in 8080p, right? So in the 8080p, since it is working in 8080p, so that's the reason we had taken that is localhost 8080p, and the controller is working on API v1 post. All right, so we need to do the post. And here we need to send the information as like the model created. All right, so here the very first is like I'll come back to my Java project. And whatever the model is created, I'll just get into that. So the student Java, so there is something called ID is a primary key. All right, ID is a primary key, and we supposed not to give information for this because it is auto generated by the system itself. And this information has to give us like an input, and this information has to give us like as an input. Right, and let's just make it here. Okay, so this information has to give us like input, and this information we have to give it as like an input. All right, so we'll just pass all this information, name, email, SAM, course. So this information will be forwarded to the API which is generated at this moment of a time. Just take a look. I'll just come back to my Postman, and here the very first thing is that what we're going to do, we're going to give that is name, and I think the letters are looking quite small, so just quickly get into the view option here, and I think we will not be working here. I think I need to get into the settings. Click on the settings over here, and within the settings I will be just trying to look at the appearance to make, okay, wait a second, so to make a good proper view out. So if I just scroll down, okay, so here it is. I'm so sorry. Okay, so here it is. Please scroll down. Right, so okay, it is not there. I think there should supposed to be something called general. Here it is, there is something called font. Okay, we need to get into the font so that, okay, yeah, there you go. So font size is actually 12 px, so let me just give it as like 16 px. All right, and that is enough. So if I come back to the theme, let it be white, whatever it is. All right, so click close it here, and there you go. So the currently the name is something that what you need to provide, and here we'll say that is okay. So it is like student information. I'll just take it as like, say it is like Saurav, and set as like email, and here we'll take it as like, say it is email, that is Saurav at the rate email.com, any emails. Okay, so it may be any dummy information. We'll have a semester here. So semester is, let's say it is like double I, that is second semester, and we have a course. Okay, so we have a course. All right, so we have a course, and course is, say it is civil engineering. We'll say that is civil engineering. All right, so these are the information we need to pass it to this particular API. So what I do is I simply go back. Okay, so simply click on a send over here. So this will be communicating to the front end, sorry, backend application, that is a Spring application, and from which it makes the API call to the database, and the information is supposed to be stored. And I can see ID number 3. Okay, as usual, the ID 1 and ID 2 is already there. Some values are there already. I have already added for to test the database. So it's just coming in. So now here, so you can see, okay, so there is, don't be panic, since because it is not nothing coming in here. But thing is that we need to refresh it. So that's where the information comes in. So the ID number 3, the Saurav, is going to be coming at this moment. So that means we can actually add the information. We can actually post the information to the web API. So now here we can take one more information, that is, let's say this, like, okay, some more information to this. I'm just trying to make some changes. Okay, so we'll take that is like 4, and okay, let's just make it as like second itself, because there are belong to the, these people are actually belonging to the second semester itself. Like, we can just make it in that way, send it over here. Okay, and you could see it had been sent on the ID number 4. That's how it is. So if I come back here, and just reload this is a lightning symbol where we can actually execute the code. So we could be able to see that is 2 information, that is things are coming in, and possibly like we can delete these rows by any chance, okay, if it is not needed or something like that, but that's okay, not a problem. All right, and I'll pass some more information here. Okay, so we'll say that is few more information as well. All right, and civil engineering, fine, okay. So just click on send, and it had been gained to ID 5. And to be precise, as I mentioned, that the controller is a person who takes the values on the browser. So we need to see in the browser as well. So you need to come to the browser. Okay, so let me just launch the browser over here, and we'll be just typing here that is localhost. We'll be saying that is localhost, right? Localhost, and currently it is running at 8080 and / and of course there is something called students, and that's it. Hit and enter. So this should give all the information. Okay, so I'm so sorry, it is not a students actually, because we need to check back. Okay, so what is it to check back? Come back, controller. So what it is, the main mapping, it is API / v1 and / students. Okay, so just come back to here. So we'll say here, all right, so it is API / it's a v1 / and students. Hit enter, and there you go. So all the informations are coming in here. So these are all the JSON format, and all the information, and at the backend development we will store it as like a JSON one. So here we are posting the information, that's all fine, and going forward we'll try to do the other operations concerned to it. So as of now I would like to get the information. Get is nothing but read information, so I would like to read all the information of the student. So if I just run this from my end, okay, so it should come at the postman also. So there you go, ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4, and ID5. Okay, fine, TK. So now post is already, I have already been shown to you. And now I would like to say that is, let me just try to, okay, so let me just try to make update. All right. So what I do is, instead of using this 8 semester, all right, instead of using 8 semester, I would like to make it as like second semester itself. So in order to update it, sir, okay, so we should provide the ID information. All right. So I'll say that is ID number 1, and we need to change this method to the put. So for this ID number 1 and whatever the name it is there actually, okay, so it is something called as like, okay, so something is the name is like go as like Sachin as in Sachin, and here it has like Sachin at email.com, and here let it go as second sem and civil engineering instead of 8th semester computer science, should go as like a civil engineering. All right, so I'll just send it as an information. It should be changing at this moment. You can see it had been changed. It had been changed. If I come back to the browser over here, so currently it is at the computer science as a course, 8th semester, and email is something. So if I go back and reload this, it should be changes to civil engineering. It had been changed. All right, and if I wanted to check it in the database as well, so if I just run this piece of code, and there you go. So first ID had been changed to the civil engineering. Likewise, I'll change the second also. You can see how to change it. So instead of giving 1 here, we should give it as like 2, and here that whatever the information here is that, okay, so it is like, okay, so provide an information what it is supposed to be, and let it be, okay, let it be as semester 2 and civil engineering. Send this over and all the information got changed. You can see ID number 2 has been updated. Very, very important. All right, so if I come back and get into get, and while you're getting the information, please do not mention any information like this, and that means ID reference should not be there. And I just clicked on here, and you can see all the second semester student list is there at my backend data. So if I come back to my database also and run this out, so it should be all the civil engineering second semester students are here. All right, and you can see there is something called, in this case, that letters are not appropriate. The first 2 letters are become capital, so that's the reason. Let us change it. So what information it is, like, ID number 5, and I'll say here /, it says that is 5, and whatever the information is there, okay, so it is like, geez, please provide. All right, please provide, that is, okay, please provide it like this. Okay, it is something, right, like this. Okay, I'll just take a copy and I'll just paste it as an this. Okay, and it is not a get actually, it is supposed to be put information. All right, and just come back and please send it over. That capital should go off, and you could see that it got changed. And if I come back and check my database also, it should be providing the proper information, and just run it out, and there you go. And these two are the buttons. That we will execute this execute this SQL or a DBMS query. All right, so if I just that, so all the second semester student information is ready available in the table, and we can say that it is a second semester student list. We can say in that way. All right, so this is how. So I had shown you that. I had shown you get, and I've shown you the post, and I've shown you the put, and let's do the delete. Okay, let's do the delete. So if you wanted to delete any information, that you can delete it. So at this moment of a time, what I will do is I'll create some dummy information at this moment of time, because everything seems good and I don't want to make any changes. So in the post, all right, so I'll say it here. Okay, so I'll say it as like, student as in student. All right, and I'll take it as like student as in student, and then let it be the third, and let it be as like a mechanical. All right, mechanical engineering like this. All right, okay, mechanical engineering like that, and hence it is something which dummy information. All right, I'm just passing that is non proper information. I'll just send it over, and it should go like ID number 6, and it had went into fine. And from here I could see my database that ID 6 should come in. All right, so ID 6 is already came in fine. All right, so what do I do is let me just delete this out. So I'll just come back and click on a delete and give a ID reference. It is like number 6 itself, that is ID 6. And if I just send it over, send it over, there you go. So no content, and that's what we had designed and developed in the Java. That is no content, it should come. If I just scroll down and just check that after the put mapping. All right, okay, so here you can see that is no content, and it is an inbuilt method. So no content is a simply thing which is coming into the response on the body. And you could say that, okay, if I just come back in the database, if I come back to the database, all right, and let me just refresh this, that student information has been deleted. Okay, so I'm so sorry, it is there already, I think. It's like, okay, select this one and run this out. Okay, so that means there is a mismatch. All right, but anyway, uh, it had come as like no content. That's okay, fine. And would like to see that is get from in here. I'll just take off this information like forward slash and just say send it over. Right, click on this, and there you go. ID number 1, ID number 2, ID 3, ID 4, ID 6 supposed to be deleted. Okay, ID 6 supposed to be deleted, so hence the reason. Okay, so just come back to the Java. So just try to see how it is mapped. It is like forward slash, it is forward slash and ID. All right, okay, so it should be forward slash and ID. All right, so please come back to the Postman and we'll say it is in forward slash and it is number 6. And here in the place of get, it should be delete. And there you go. All right, for the better understanding, okay, so what do I do is, for the better understanding, so instead of response entity and return is going to here, that is no thing, and it is anyway, it is string as well. And can I use it here like this and say that is student record? All right, we'll try to do this second student record deleted successfully. All right, successfully like this, and place a mouse. I just don't wanna print it back. So anyways, I've taken it as like, I don't want to go with the response entity and let me be just as a string information. And there you go. Okay, and there you go. So it's working fine, sir. I'll just save it, and you could see automatically the spring has to rerun it, and at the same time, it should say that it's conditional evaluation unchanged and try to see that is okay. So I'd like to send that is 6 other information. It should come as like, okay, deleted successfully. Okay, student record deleted successfully, and it is coming as like in response that is 200, and it should not give me a proper information here. If it is not, that's okay. We'll just try to use this method in a proper way out in the front end as well. We can delete it from the front end side as well. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, so it should be deleting, but anyways, it is not going out of the record itself because we should be deleted from the code. Okay, so it's like, okay, student service, the delete student, it is in the student service here. All right, so this should be something deleted at this. Okay, so there might be something that it is not completely working in properly. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm just trying to see that is what we are actually doing in. So here, okay, here is the thing. Okay, so return is something, it says student record deleted successfully, right? All right, student record is deleted successfully, right? So where it's supposed to be deleted from? It's supposed to be deleted from the student repository itself. So instead of saying this particular sentence, all right, so we'll try to do this way. Okay, so dot, and we'll say that is delete. Okay, so that is delete by ID, not delete all by ID, delete by ID. All right, and here we'll send it as like an ID as an ID reference, add is an ID reference, and here I'll send it as like long ID. Okay, so just a simple thing, just a simple thing. So there is something that it is cannot return a void result. All right, so here we can say void it would be fine, right? Void it would be fine. So sometimes you just try to give, okay, change a method to the return type. All right, and there you are. So the object that we try to see it, okay, so just get it from the student itself. All right, so there might be something that I am currently missing at this moment of time. Just a second. So here, instead of saying like here, just try to be int is not a supportive thing over here. So it should be list. Okay, wait a minute. So I think there is something which I have already made it in proper. Long ID, that is student record is, okay, wait a second. Let it be as a string and a response entity as it is, but here is, okay, delete student is something which is not properly working, I think. So response entity, and here is something that is delete student is actually making the problem. Okay, so here, wait a second, come back to the student service here, please save it out, and let me just take a look right into it. just a second. Okay, there you go. Don't do anything. Student record is deleted successfully. All right, student record is deleted successfully. Save it, come back here, and there you go. And there you go. Okay, and here is something that we need to check it out. Okay, so it is just trying to tell that, okay, so we should not have the returnable or non-returning substance, but I am just using the string over here, so that's the reason it is just trying to give me a problem over here. So what I do is, instead of taking the student over here for the delete mapping, we'll try to take it here as a void, and it is a wrapper object. Obviously I'm just taking it as in capital letter, so that means we should be utilizing the object over here, right? So that's how it is. So going forward here, all right, so everything is fine, I think, and I would like to check that is the student service dot delete student id, and here we supposed to give some information. All right, so I'm just passing the long id over here, so that's the reason we have to return it as like id over here, and that makes the problem. So here is like remove the argument match, change it to add student, not an add student. I'm so sorry, it is like delete student. Okay, change the method delete and just take it as like, okay, so here is a change. All right, so here is long id. So I think everything is fine. So if I just save it out, all right, so come back here and just try to see that is student service, and it's trying to give that is create a method that is student service long id. So that means there is something in the miss in the service record, and we need to try to see that one particular, instead of coming back here. All right, instead of coming back here, uh, controller, we need to fix the student service. All right, so in the student service, it is for delete, right? So it has a string as coming back. So here also I'll change it to the void and long id, and this has to be deleted from, okay, so this has to be deleted from student repository. So that's what I just made a change. I mean, that's what I have missed yesterday. All right, so it is like repository and dot, and here, there you go. So delete by id, not delete all by id, it is delete by id, just delete by id. Here you go. So there it is. All right, so this supposed to be looking for something else, is a student repository. I think you have a void over here, so that's the reason you don't need to have the return object over here. That's it. So please save it over here, and this should resolve the problem here. All right, and coming back to the delete mapping over here, so this has to be taken care in controller as to. So here in the controller, we have a public response entity and a void delete student path variable long id, fine, and here it is student service dot student id. So let me just type it in proper way. All right, so there might be something that is missing at this moment of time, so just come back here and uh, the student service, and that's what I've taken, student dot service, and should have a delete student. There you go, and close like this, and of course it should have a return, and in the return I'll be talking about the response entity, right, and dot, and here I'll use that is no content, and dot should come as like should be a built-in one. So built in the response will have a no body of information. That's how it is. So we'll use that is body, and there everything is fine, I guess. So save this out, and all the uh, error has been taken care, and here is also I'll just make a change. Okay, it's not a change actually, so I have to use this as a comment, right? So that's why it was a star over there, and I just saved everything, and everything looking fine. And I just come back to my postman here and like to click on a get whether I have all the information or not first. All right, so the ID6 is currently here, and the same thing supposed to be deleted. So here, let's say that is 6, and would like to get this information. So whether the 6th information is there or not. Yes, there you go. So 6th information is coming in at this moment of time. And as it is coming, like, even if you wanted to check for a first information, just go for the first information student, second information. All right, click on this and you'll get a second also. You'll get a third one. Okay, third one also, and it is a fourth one, and send the information. Of course it is coming in. So like that, I would like to get into complete sixth one and try to send that information to the request to the HTTPS, and it's coming in back. And now what I do is, let me just delete it out. So once I click in here and send it as an information, there you go, 204, no content is coming in. That's okay. That's all fine. And here itself, we can see the result. Like go to the get and I'll get into the complete students over here and click to the send. So like, there you go. So the ID number 6 is got deleted. So it's even if it is such so, okay. So /6, I would like to get the information. If it is not there, it should give me an error over here. So there you go, 404 not found. That means the delete is properly happened and the data is not available anymore. And all right, so select this and run this out, and there you go. So the number 6 is also deleted. And this is how we achieve the entire stuff about the CRUD operations, as I mentioned in my start of the explanation of this project. So this is how we currently do it. And if I just go back and summarize that, what exactly is the things are coming at this moment of a time is that it's like I'll be providing you the overview out of it is so Spring Boot application is something which runs on Spring Boot application is something which runs on, right? So which runs on model layer. It's generally said as model layer, and we have that is repository layer. Okay, repository layer, and we have there is something called service layer, and there is something called controller layer. So these four informations that we generally make use of it, and utilizing this thing in the business logic layer, we'll create CRUD operations. And for the HTTP request, we will generally consider it as like get, post, put, and delete. So this is how, so these information can be utilized using the REST web APIs, right? Since these representational APIs are coming over the web thing. So that's a reason. We will utilize like in get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, delete mapping. So here we had used the Eclipse, and we had used the MySQL, and we had used the Postman in order to develop, or in order to have the development done. Okay, so development, that is backend development, done with these application at this moment time. So this is all about that, what we are supposed to look into it particular. And going forward, we'll try to do the some more implementation or the students itself. So for that, we would like, I would like to see you people in the next video. Until here, I hope you guys learned something new at this moment of here. Thank you very much. Hope this video will be useful for you. Take care and bye-bye.